He won his first trophy with not a revolver.
You
You don't know?
I know.
You don't know?
I know.
Did you own a revolver at the time?
I made these out of aluminum.
And what did he introduce you to in shooting?
You can see the difference, 8 and 3 inch. I think it's 10 and 5.
Yeah,
I
how
don't know.
many years was that from this gun to this gun? How long did you shoot those for? What's like a takeaway from your journey? Maybe a little bit more barrel. I don't have quite enough barrel.
Never fall in love with your own invention.
I'm Lena Miculek.
I'm Jerry Miculek.
And today we're gonna tell some stories from the shop. So get cozy, grab a snack and a drink, and we're gonna dive into the history of this revolver shooting god right here.
Well, I'll start off with back in the day. Back in the day.
All right.
I'll give you my inspirational moment. Was this magazine right here. This is October 1974. That's the cover. That's Ed McGivern. I didn't know who he was at the time. I was getting into guns. I always had guns.
How old were you?
Old enough to know better. 54. That's, well, yeah, 20.
You were 20? All right.
Yep. So 20 years old, I saw Ed McGivern on the cover, and I read about him a little bit, and I said, man, this guy can shoot a revolver. That's his target. That was 5 shots in 9/20ths of a second. Double action. I was going, that's pretty cool. I want to do that.
Yeah?
So 50 years later, here I am.
50 years later, you done did it. Did it all.
Trying to do it, yeah.
So what was the... Is it just an article in here about him and they just showed his record?
And I got his book. I read his book. I have his book over there.
Yeah.
So my buddy and I, Elliot, would go out and try to attempt what Ed McGivern had did.
Yeah.
And
where were you attempting that at?
In the cane fields back in Thibodeau.
Yeah, because back then,
we didn't have, well...
there weren't ranges. There were no ranges in South Louisiana or shooting competitions.
Well,
that
back
wasn't
when I
a
was
thing.
young, the city dump was the shooting range. That's just where open air dumps, and unlimited targets. I mean, you had anything from old automobiles to bowling balls to just whatever you could find, you had a target. So it was unlimited.
So you read this. Did you own a revolver at the time?
I had a single action revolver. I had 22.
Single?
I had 22.
Oh, got you. So you watched this.
Yeah.
You've not watched this. You read
I
this.
read
You
this,
saw
yeah.
what was in here, and you were like, I want to be him.
Got to do it.
I want to be him. So did it inspire you to purchase a
I did.
double action?
I did.
All right. This was your very first double action revolver?
I did. I wanted a 6-inch K30.
I don't think you have quite enough barrel.
It's a model.
I think it needs some more barrel, don't
It's
you?
a Model 14 6-shot K30. It's called a K38. I wanted a 6-inch gun. I couldn't find a 6-inch, and I saw this is what I could find at the
Yeah?
time. I had to spend some money.
Where'd you buy it at?
Baton Rouge.
For?
Good question. Probably $180. If I remember right.
And what caliber is this?
38 special.
38 special.
Yeah. I shot that a lot. That was one of my go-to guns.
What's the Dirty Harry gun?
That's a Model 29 end frame. That's a K frame.
Got you.
I shot bowling pins with that. I actually won a bunch of bowling pin matches, shooting a 200 grain bullet at about 1,100 feet a second out of that thing.
And a bowling pin match, the goal of it is that they set up, like in a triangle formation, bowling pins.
No, these are straight across.
Oh, these weren't straight across. I'm sorry. These are straight across. And how far do you have to push them back and off the table?
You had to knock them back 3 feet till they hit the last one hit the ground is when the time stopped.
Yeah, so he had to push bowling pins 3 feet back off a table for a timed event, and you were using blasting. Were you reloading ammo at that time?
Yeah,
Were you making some wild reloads?
We were casting our own bullets and making our own bullet lube and
doing
the whole thing. Yeah.
How many rounds do you think you got through your first double action revolver before you upgraded to a different one?
Let me see.
If
you look at the breech face, it's probably got.
It's got some like rings on a tree.
I don't know, 40,000, 50,000 through it.
Wild. And all of those being reloads and casts from you, I'm sure.
Yeah, I never had a factory. I never bought a factory 38.
That's wild.
Yeah, we never bought one.
I believe you.
What does that look like? I don't know what that even looks like.
What a box. It comes in a box.
Give you an idea, when we first started loading, my buddy and I, Elliot, we would scrounge all the old gun shops in Baton Rouge to buy powder and stuff nobody else wanted to buy. And we could load 38s. I think we figured up they were like 38 cents for 50.
50 reloaded?
50 rounds, 38 cents.
That had to be some quality ammo.
It was. We shot thousands of them.
I mean, it worked.
Thousands of them.
Your hands are here. Targets went down.
It was all good
started
stuff.
your career. It was all good.
Target quality ammunition.
I'm sure.
Meticulously loaded.
I'm sure it was meticulous because I'm sure you were reloading them on a single press.
I did.
Yeah.
You can probably load a 38 mid-range load probably 40, 50 times. one brass.
One piece of brass?
Yep.
40-50?
Yeah.
I would trust that you're the man that knows exactly how
I've
many.
shot them until you couldn't read the head stamp on them. Anyway.
I love it. I love it. So this is what you started with.
Yep.
Ed McGivern here inspired you to
Yep.
go out and try and set world records. Was there anyone else setting shooting world records? That's not even like, I can't even think of, there's records that have been set for like distance and, accuracy. You had Annie Oakley and you had all these other people doing demonstrations and amazing shots.
Yeah.
But I can't think of anyone else besides Ed McGivern going for speed.
A shooting exhibition. You had Herb Parsons, was a famous exhibition shooter. You had other guys doing it. You had
But in
Tom
my mind,
Fry.
they're
Tom
like
Fry
trick
from
shots.
Yep.
Like things out of the air and
Well,
a mirror. And...
You ever heard of Tom Fry?
No.
You ever heard of Tom Fry? He was a Remington exhibition shooter. He had a Remington nylon 66. He shot
Is he why you got your nylon?
3.5-inch wood blocks. I think he shot 500,000 with only 6 misses or something within a short period of time.
But
They
what
were
was he...
thrown in the air.
That's the part.
So he stood for like 10 hours a day shooting these hand-thrown wooden blocks with that nylon 66, and the gun never malfunctioned. So Tom Fry used to sit. He had a picture of him in the gun magazines. He's sitting on top of a big mountain of wood blocks with his nylon 66.
Okay, so once again, there's people doing impressive shooting, but nobody was going for speed outside of this,
right.
And that's what spoke to you. You didn't, you saw all of them, and you didn't say, "I want to be him."
The speed.
The speed.
Half a second, 5 shots.
With a revolver.
That always intrigued me. I wanted to do that. So.
I love it. Okay, after your first revolver, what'd you go to after that? What was the evolution?
Well, that's when we started finding competitions.
Because there were none.
Really, hardly anything.
There were no organizations. All the organizations that I compete at, USPSA, IPSC, IDPA, Steel Challenge, all of these, years and years to come.
Well, you had...
So, what did they have?
You had Jeff Cooper and what they call leather slap. Jack Weaver, the Weaver stance, made famous. So
but
Jeff
is that
Cooper
a
and
type
Weaver,
of competition?
That was a competition.
What's a leather slap competition?
You get it, shoot man against man.
Oh. Why is it called leather slap?
Because you're getting the gun out of the holster.
Out of the leathers?
You slap in the leather.
Oh.
Leather. That's before Kydex. This is. You had to use animal skins to be proficient. You had to have animal skins. You had blue steel. You had gunpowder.
Manly
you had
calibers.
lead. It was good stuff. It was a leather slap.
Yeah, leather slap.
And the gentleman that actually introduced me to shooting was Ben Ashmore.
And what did he introduce you to in shooting?
Well, this is a kind of a fun fact. My little brother came racing home one day. He said, "You're not going to believe it." I said, "What?" He said, "There's a guy in the dump. He's shooting a Swenson 45 at a steel target on a stick." I went, "No, it can't be." "Yeah, it is." So we raced back, and he was still there. That's just the city dump where everybody shot. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So anyway, there, Ben, he had a Swenson 45, which you'd only read about. It was like historically, this
cool.
is the gun.
It was the coolest
45, everybody had 45s back then, 1911. At Smith & Wesson
because it's
sights,
manliness.
a squared trigger guard, checkered. This was like you just couldn't believe you're looking at it at one time.
And a steel target
And he had magazines. He had some steel targets. He was doing it, shooting it. And I'm going like, this is the coolest thing I think I've ever seen. So that's what got me into competition.
So did you ask him a bunch of questions and figure out
super
what was
nice
going
guy.
on?
He was a contractor working at some of the factories along the plant. And he was going to get some of the local police to do some practical shooting. And his organization actually predated Cooper. Yeah. So
what was it called? Do you know,
I
the type of competition?
I don't remember. It was out of Arizona, his club. But anyway, he organized some competitions, and I won the first match. Got the trophy right over there.
You do?
That's the only one. That's the only one.
Grab it.
The only one
see.
I keep in the shop.
I know. That's why I want to see it.
Okay.
Because
I'll go get it.
he doesn't. This man has more trophies above this building. There's an attic just lined with them. They're outside getting spider webs on them. There's a shop with more of them in them. I'm excited to see the one that deserves to be in the shop.
His gun broke off. It's been so long ago.
This was your very first ever shooting trophy?
Yeah.
River Parish Combat Match. First. 1977.
Used to call them combat matches. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that fun? And you won this with this revolver here?
It was model.
Ooh, we had upgraded.
No, it
We
was
had
actually.
inspired? We had
It was
downgraded?
actually 1911.
Egad! What a plot twist! He won his first trophy with not a revolver!
But I got over it.
You got over
I got over it.
How long was your 1911 phase for?
A couple matches.
Yeah, because you have literally never talked about shooting
I
with
don't spread gossip. Like.
We don't talk about trash like that around here. That's super fun.
You know, Ben shot 1911s. He had a Swenson.
Yeah.
So I had to get a 1911. I shot it, and then I didn't like picking up brass, so I figured I'd start shooting revolver.
Is that? I could see that. Is that really why you did it? Because I could see it being that. Really being that.
You can't really go in a swamp and shoot a pistol because you lose all your brass.
You lose it out the side
Or
of
it
the
goes
boat.
in the mud. It's just a big problem. Revolver, you can just put them in your pocket.
You just don't think about.
You never lose your brass.
Don't ever. And if you got to reload them 30 to 40 times, you got to make sure you pick them back up.
You got to pick them up.
I love that.
Yep.
Okay. So, you started here.
Yeah.
You found this guy shooting in the dump with his 1911.
Yeah, right.
You got into the very first competitions there were.
So then we went to the Model 15s. This is my Model 15. And what I did on this one, I wanted a full depth rear notch. So I welded up the front side, made it taller, so I could put a deeper rear notch in it. Check for the cylinders. This is really, back then, the really high performance parts were the chrome, Smith & Wesson with chrome. See, this, what people don't realize about Smith & Wesson revolvers back in the day, these are forged parts. The trigger would match the stainless steel. If you had a stainless steel gun like the 66, the hammer and trigger were hard chrome.
Okay. And what would that do for you? Have smoother surfaces?
It makes the action a lot smoother.
Got you.
So I put a chrome trigger in it.
And you were somebody?
Man, this thing is good. I've shot this one. You can see, look at the breech face. This thing's got a lot of rounds through it.
How many would you guesstimate? Because you're correct. There's like it's got some rings.
I shot it for years. And it's still in time. It's still, every charge hole is in time.
Did you do that trigger job on it too?
Oh, yeah.
He does some nice trigger jobs. Is this the one that goes with this gear that's over here?
Yeah.
Okay, this is I think, one of the most fun things. So, are we ready?
Okay. We got an empty gun here.
Let's break out the cross-draw leather holster and our speed loaders.
Right.
Correct?
Right, yeah.
All right, describe. Because this is once again, like, I was born into a world in which competitive shooting was known, and he and Mom had blazed the trail into being professionals. So, like, I just had to check the boxes, but you guys had to make the boxes to check them. So you guys had to discover it all. So we're out here with leather. I love that it's a cross-draw holster.
This is a Davis, W.M. Davis, cross-draw. So back then, if you were really cool, you had a cross-draw holster like this. You shot.
Just whip it on out there.
Yeah, you did. You had your speed loader, so that was a cross-draw holster. You had your speed loader pouch.
Yeah.
And this was what we originally used was the H&K, HKS, I should say, not H&K, HKS loaders, where you put the rounds in and you turned it. And some years after that, you had the Safari that you just push, and they shot them in there. But this is what we started with.
I just think imagining cross-drawing as like a form of the most fast and like elevated technique that there was available.
Yeah. Mickey Fowler. You don't know who Mickey Fowler is, do you?
No. Were you cross-drawing and
Mickey Fowler.
shooting in a Weaver
Mickey Fowler
stance?
was, I saw his son the other day at SHOT Show. Cool guy, Mickey. He set a standard for the rest of us to follow. But anyway, this was my 15, and that was the holster.
And you said a lot of things
I
in
shot a lot of
with
matches
that.
with that one. Yeah, I robbed the grips off of it and did something with it, but I'll show you something else interesting.
Right.
This is how long ago this was. There wasn't a standardized target.
Of any kind.
Yeah.
For anything.
So what we did, we said we're gonna make our own targets. So we made this template right here. That was our target. We'd get a roll of brown paper and cut these targets out.
And draw you a little circle for a scoring ring in the middle.
Scoring ring. And that was our go-to competition target.
And that's why. How long did you shoot those for?
Oh, well, I don't know, 6-7 years.
That's a wild question. When did a standardized competition target come out? Oh, I guess when USPSA and IDPA and all those people were established.
We wasn't associated with any club. We were just shooters.
Yeah, you just want to
shoot. You go to different areas to shoot, but also, this is how we timed everything.
Ooh, so yeah.
No, look at here. Look at that. You start the stopwatch and you set it back.
So, did you always pay your stopwatch runner before you went up to shoot? To be real fast.
So the stage of fire. That's how you do it. Let me show you.
All right, I'm ready.
And these, I personally made these, by the way.
You did?
These were an upgrade. We had some wooden ones, but they broke. So I made these out of aluminum. So what you'd do, you'd have a couple of guys on a stopwatch looking the other way. You had the shooter on the line, and you'd give them a shooter ready, stand by you.
Oh, wow!
And the guys, the guys with the watches would start, and he'd shoot the stage of fire. And every stage of fire had a stop plate.
They had to because there was.
And they're listening, and when they hit the stop plate, you hit the watch, and then you just synchronize it as best you can, and you win and lose by
very precise science. I love that. This is the only instrument that I think you've probably ever played, isn't it?
Yeah. But anyway.
Or your own shooting cymbals.
So that was back in the day.
So I love it though, but it's to show just in your lifetime how far that we've come. I'm excited to show you where revolver shooting is nowadays. I mean, would young Jerry couldn't even fathom what is now, I would imagine. How fun. So we got stopwatches, we got homemade cymbal starters, we got homemade targets, we got cross-draw leather holsters. We are fully feeling the era.
So then the upgrade from all of that was Model 27. My Model 27, you see it on that picture over there. This is what really got me hired on by Smith & Wesson. I was shooting in the Masters in Barry, Illinois.
How many years was that from this gun to this gun?
This was in the late 80s, like 87, 88.
Which when did you start? So how many years?
14 years, something like that.
So for 14 years, you were out there shooting, casting, making your own targets, training, going to the dump, doing all that you could as competitions. Did they start to amp up? Did you start to see more competitions? Was there any standardizing in them?
Yeah,
Were they
by
more
then,
available?
had USPSA and you had,
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
So we went to sanctioned matches, but the idea for me was to shoot every match I could find. Like Steel Challenge. This was my Steel Challenge gun.
It was your everything gun.
It sounds like. I shot bowling pins with it, Steel Challenge. What I really liked about it, back then I could actually see a metallic sight. So the long sight radius was beneficial.
Yep.
And the lightweight, the barrel you can see is very pencil.
It looks very lightweight.
So it's got a good sight radius and it's lightweight. It's fast to start and stop. So it was better sight radius than the 1911 ever would have. And you could really stoke some ammunition. Bad side about it, only 6 rounds. So you shoot in Steel Challenge, you shoot in the 5-target scenario. You get one, got you, and then you got to really aim.
Oh man, you missed that first
then
target.
You got to really aim. Then you got to start aiming. So, but anyway, I won the Masters Speed event a couple of years. I actually set a record with this gun.
At the Masters?
At the Masters.
And that's
so
you shooting against...
I was beating the pistol guys on steel. So that got me recognized, and that's how Roy Jenks found me and hired me on the team, was this Model 27.
Was there already a team at Smith & Wesson,
no,
or was there anyone?
There was not. But what's interesting
So there was no one. So he was just hiring you to try and build a team.
Right.
Very cool.
So the grip is kind of interesting in itself. Hogue Grips, Guy Hogue, which is the father of...
Neil.
Well, not Neil, but I'm going brain dead.
I know.
Pat and Aaron.
Yep.
He hand built me these grips. Ooh. And I used to shoot a grip that had some Bondo on it. If you ever been around an automotive shop, Bondo is like a plastic filler, your body filler. So I had Bondo and I had duct tape on it. And Jim Clark Sr., I just met him.
So you're winning against the
pistol guys
with a Bondo duct taped grip on a revolver. Man, you just like salt in the wound. Also, let me like stick my finger in it. My goodness.
So Jim Sr. saw that. And it looked so bad.
Yeah.
He said, let me bring you to somebody that can make you a grip. So Guy Hogue was there, and I showed him my prototype grip that I had Bondoed up and everything, and he handmade me a couple of them. That's one of the original ones.
That's one of the original handmade ones?
I just about shot it to pieces, but it's a cool gun.
Very fun.
I had it re-blued. I shot it so much that they had to set the barrel back a turn, because I burnt the forcing cone out on it.
Just a few rounds, you'd say.
I've shot that.
Very fun.
Yeah, shot that a lot.
All right.
That's my get-some gun.
So that gun right there
got
you the attention of Smith & Wesson.
Yep. Got me hired on,
And got you hired on. What year was that?
90.
1990? Yep. So in 1990, you got hired on for this wild job that wasn't even a real job. Was anyone else doing that at the time? Was anyone else a pro shooter? Was Rob Latham?
Rob Latham was.
Was he the only?
Brian Enos, Rob Latham and Mickey Fowler, but I don't think Mickey was full-time shooting. Rob Latham was. Rob kind of set the standard on competition guys. He was the first $1 million man. I think Springfield, that's the way they used to quote him. he was making $100,000 a year, you know, for 10-year contract or something with Springfield Armory. It's something. Anyway, the money was ringing in my ear, and I'm going like, if Rob can do it, maybe I can do it.
Yep, absolutely.
So there it is. So I started shooting, you know. So.
Very cool. Okay, where's your next one? Where we go now? We got a lot of guns on this table.
Okay.
So you've signed with Smith & Wesson.
Yeah.
I imagine you had to get some new guns. You had to buy this one. They finally had to give you some.
Give you an idea how long ago that was. A new gun like that was like $250. You know?
And for a modern day price on that.
You wasn't making but like $4 an hour anyway. But anyway, so Model 27s, and from there, of course, this is 1980s, 87 or so that I bought this gun. And from there, of course, I shot all kind of other guns that they would give me. So we'll jump ahead a little bit. First revolver I ever won. I think it was in 86.
What'd you win it with?
Model 29.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how long ago that was. They shoot a Model 29 out of a shoulder holster.
Ooh, a shoulder.
With speed loaders. It was pretty cool. We were Dirty Harry back then. Anyway, I won that gun. I thought I was somebody.
You were. How exciting.
And kind of we're going to move on a little bit.
All right, Dad, this is your soapbox. It's your chance. Give me a good rant.
You want a rant?
Yeah, what's it going to be about?
Revolvers. All right. All right, guys, I'm gonna say this one more time. I see a lot of good Smith & Wesson revolvers beat to death. I'm gonna show you the proper way to open and close a revolver, okay? I've only done this like 50 years, so give me a moment. Okay, proper way to open a revolver. Never thrust on the cylinder until you have completely pressed the cylinder release. Press it and then open it. If you don't, you're gonna load the center pin and you wreck the frame. I've seen a lot of revolvers wallowed out. I've got revolvers there that I've shot 200,000 or 300,000 rounds through, and they're still in time. Do it correctly. Push cylinder release, as so, open cylinder. If you open the cylinder from the top and not the bottom, you won't wipe that cylinder notch on the cylinder stop, and you won't beat the cylinder to death. Like so, push, open, and when you close it, do not induce a spin, because it's going to have all this weight of the cylinder stopping on the shallow side of the cylinder stop, and you're going to beat it to death. Just close it. It's your friend. You love this thing. It's going to love you. Oh, Ellie, I'm home. Yes, okay. There it is. Okay. This is an L frame. This is a 686 plus.
We're now getting into the ones that I feel like I recognize from watching
This was the first IDPA bug gun nationals. I won overall.
That's beautiful.
First bug gun nationals with that revolver. Indoor nationals.
Wow.
Against the pistol guys.
Ooh, yet again. How awesome.
That was pretty cool.
But also, that trigger job on there, I wish you could feel that trigger job so that when you feel all the other revolver triggers, you know how insulted you should be. Because, wow.
That's a good gun.
That is beautiful.
That's a good one.
Wow, you did all your trigger jobs on these, right?
Yeah. So what I'm looking for, like when Lena says trigger job, what I'm looking for, Smith & Wesson has the fastest reset on a trigger.
Okay.
So the pull is not important. It's how fast you can set it up for the next round.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going for, is the reset speed.
I believe you.
You know.
I think out of everybody out there, I might believe you the most.
So that was my IDPA indoor national gun.
Very cool.
Overall.
What about these?
This was a couple of 64s. I did a 10 revolver record. So I started with a revolver in my hand. I had 9 of them on the table. I shot 60 rounds in like 17 seconds.
Just
put them down.
Working your way down the table.
That was kind of cool.
Just kind of cool.
So that's a couple of those. I have different grips on them. I play around. I'm always playing with everything, you know. So this one doesn't have grip. But anyway, this is a cool gun. We're getting off subject here.
You are the subject.
This is the only.
If you're talking about it, we're on.
This is the only 10 and 5/8 inch Model 27 ever made.
And why is that?
Because I
asked for it.
I thought I needed one.
And you told them? Is this when you worked at Smith & Wesson and you told them it's what you wanted?
They handmade me, if you can see the difference, 8 and 3 inch. I think it's 10 and 5. I wanted to shoot bowling pins with it, so.
You just thought, maybe a little bit more barrel. I don't have quite enough barrel.
I want to get a little closer there.
You watched Dirty Harry and you're like, ooh.
But that's a one of a kind. That's going to be.
A one of a kind.
Yeah.
And what have you done with that one, bowling pin wise? Did you win second chance? Did you take it to any big competitions or win any titles with it?
No.
Or it was just a blaster?
I just played with it.
Just for fun.
The concept gun.
I like that.
But, okay.
Ooh, I have one revolver revolver on here to share my very short revolver history with, and it's the one on the end. So when I was 14, I think 13, I was dabbling through the different categories in USPSA, seeing if there was a sport that really called to me. Because at that time, I mean, you were there. I didn't really care to shoot. It was here nor there. I was trying to find something that I actually liked, and I waited until, I was much older to finally shoot a revolver, which I find is kind of odd looking back on it. But I did shoot it. You took me out, and I was like, this is fun. And what's even more fun, I think, is the practice of revolver. Because, man, dry fire, it kind of sucks and it's really boring. And back then, we didn't have anything to make it cooler. We didn't have Mantis, we didn't have laser systems, we didn't have training aids. You just had to do it the old-fashioned, boring way. And then Dad gave me a revolver, and I was like, oh my gosh, every time I pull the trigger, it clicks, and I can, like, practice reloads. So it motivated me to actually train, and I had a really fun year going to area matches and competing in my first handgun nationals with a revolver. And this is the one you gave me. He at the time didn't give it to me. He let me borrow it, but now it's officially mine. He let me borrow this one.
Can I tell you the story behind this?
Oh, please do. I'd love to know it.
This is a performance on a 625, which was a direct result of my input over the 625. You didn't know that, did you?
I did not.
And I'll show you the differences. One of the differences is a shorter cylinder. If you notice how much barrel extension you have in the frame.
Yep.
See?
Yeah.
So the cylinder is about 1/10 of an inch shorter, and the rifling depth is twice as deep as a standard. Okay. The idea of the shorter cylinder was to have less bullet jump before the bullet engaged the rifling, thereby making it more accurate.
And then deeper rifling to make it more accurate yet again.
Projectile better.
Got you.
And they fancied it up with the cuts and what have you, but that was my input, and they made a whole series of these guns for a number of years with that enhancement.
How cool. And that's all motivated by you?
Yeah.
Did you get your initials on them or anything like that, or you just they just took your great ideas and made money off of them?
It was a good idea. They were selling them with my stocks on them for a while, so it was pretty cool.
Got you. I agree. I have great memories with them. Oh, show them. So this one, as you notice on a lot of these, they have their hammer, but this one's hammerless. Why?
I cut it off.
Well, we can tell that.
Well,
Why?
If you're going to actually shoot a revolver correctly, it gets in the way. If I was to shoot this revolver, my hand would be this high.
Yep. And then that hammer would hit you.
Gets in the way. I'm not going to ever shoot it single action anyway. And if you wanted to, you could reach up there and cock it.
Yeah, but there's no time in a competition.
No, so this thing just gets in the way.
So you'll notice on this one, he's cut it off for me. Yep. And then one of my favorite things about my gun is the grips on it. These are my dad's Miculek grips, but these were one of the only prototypes done on redwood. So they're a special wood on them. And then on the other side, if you show them the other side, it's got a little pink sticker on it. That's just because when we were all competing and all sharing our guns and gear out of the same building, we had some minor disagreements on whose was whose and what was what. So everything of mine got stickers on it. And that's a carryover from that era of sharing.
Nice revolver, though.
It was splendid. I truly do love getting to shoot that one.
Fun gun.
Oh, let's show them the last gun. Oh, wait, no. Before you show them the last gun, I just want to show you some additional, evolutions of competition, because this was your setup. This was the latest and the greatest. Leather cross-draw holster, revolver, speed loaders, a stopwatch, homemade symbols, homemade targets. Now we have standardized competitions, standardized targets, and versus the leather, we now have not only kydex, but we have speed rigs. So describe the little evolution that we have here and this setup, which is your most current revolver setup, right? All right.
Yeah. So what you have, of course, an open face holster here. Well, you don't have to pick it up at maybe 1/2 inch to get it to target. Here you had to draw the gun completely out of the holster. So,
and from over here to over there.
To go this way. So this made it a lot quicker. And of course the speed loaders evolved into full moon clips. This is an 8-shot 627 with a moon clip.
And the way the moon clip works is that the cylinder is cut to accept the moon clip.
Yep.
So unlike with the speed loaders that would have the bullets in the end that you'd have to put into the cylinder, release the bullets, and then do something with this.
I gotta do something.
You just drop it in.
Yep.
And that had to be a
that's
huge
way quicker. Yeah,
game
that's twice as
changer when
quick,
that came along.
And 10 times more consistent.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I would
they all
imagine.
go or none go. That's sometimes when you'd pull the speed loader back, you'd pull that inside round out.
Gosh, nothing's worse too than missing one of your only free six rounds.
Yeah, I know. I've done it a million times. Yeah. Go ahead.
But you got your speedy rack here, their magnet on top. You got moon clips. You have your new belt system here that's way
these
more
things
rigid.
are like 100th of a second.
Yeah,
They
and now
reach a 100th of a second. We were in tenths and fifths and quarter of seconds. And
Yep, now we don't have, old Bob back there with the timer, that you have to pay off to be a little bit faster. Now we have shot timers that, for example, this one tracks from the beep down to every shot fired. So no matter how many shots it is in the course of fire or what you're doing, it tracks it and gives it down to, a 1/10 of a second.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and then now we can review, we can see how long was in between our shots, we can do everything like that, and it's an amazing evolution that we've seen through shooting. But I mean, it's not as cool as your symbols. A lot easier to travel with. But I love it.
Do what you gotta do.
Yeah, alright, now we're on to your final gun.
Current record gun. This is the one I did the plate rack with.
In what year?
Last year.
Last year.
Year before last.
So
year before
in
last,
95, a small thing that we haven't mentioned was that in 95, you set your, is it 95 or 96 you set your records?
I have to go back and look. I have to go look.
You don't know?
I don't.
You don't know?
I don't remember.
I remember that I was just a baby and I couldn't go because I was such a baby. So it had to be 95 or 96.
Yeah.
And one of those years, he did go after, right?
Right. Well, I did other records.
But you also...
But this is what happened. Ed McGivern's timer is in the NRA Museum, and they actually sent it to me to look at, but I couldn't use it. And he used a mechanical stopwatch, and he had a solenoid on the trigger. So, to be fair to Ed McGivern, I'd have to use his period equipment, which they wouldn't let me use.
Gotcha.
So, I used a modern timer, and it happened to coincide with Smith & Wesson having made the 8-shot 627 revolver. So, being fair to Ed, because I had a lot of respect for his ability and what he did in his period, this is like biplane, and this is like jet fighter.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Technology. So I used a modern timer with a modern revolver and shot 8 shots in a second. It's only fair. There it is.
I liked it.
Cool.
And what else did you do?
We did 625 revolver, shoot 6, do a reload, and shoot 6 more in 299.
Yeah.
And then shot 2 on each of
3 targets?
4 targets.
4 targets, sorry.
In 1.06 hundredths of a second.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was pretty cool.
So he set those records back then.
I think it was 90.
Blew up the gun world,
Yeah.
rose to the top, became recognized as the revolver shooting god that you are. Then you continued on to win 21 consecutive I-Corps Revolver World Championships.
Yeah,
You won
yeah.
other world titles with Revolver. You were stomping people with every other gun with your revolver. And then just last year,
Yeah.
when you're just chilling, semi-retired, 2018's already come.
Yeah, I
Your
know,
retirement
right?
dates come up. You think, man, you know
gotta
what?
do something. Gotta do something.
I should do something fun, like attempt a new world record.
All right. You see, Guinness Book of Records, back when I was doing all this, did not accept shooting speed records anymore.
They still don't, yeah.
And then they did. The guy did a plate rack at 2.41 seconds, I think it was. And I went, man, let's build a revolver just for that. So what I did, I took the best of what I could come up with as a revolver, scandium frame, lightweight, stainless steel shroud. I wanted a 10 twist 9mm, and they happened to make on my JM gun already a titanium 8-shot 9mm cylinder. So this gun, I actually stripped down a 327, which was a scandium, and I made it, I hand fitted this 9mm cylinder and got a barrel.
So you made a prototype of this gun.
This is it. I hand built this right there on my bench, and I had a barrel liner from Barstow Barrel They had made me some liners years ago for a 38 Super Revolver.
Yeah.
356 bore, 355. So I used that barrel liner, had a Magnaport, did a quad port on it, came out exactly like I wanted it. And just at that time also, Vortex was just coming out with their new XL red dots. I went, man, this is everything is cooking. It's going to be one good package. So this is their comp dot. This is their 8-shot scandium, and it turned into the record gun.
I knew that this was your record gun and that it was built for it, but I didn't realize that you had built it because after he did it, Smith & Wesson made a limited run of them as record guns, and I thought they had built I love it so much more that you just built it on the bench right there.
Yeah, I fitted the cylinder. I did. Yeah, I'm a mechanic. I'm a mechanic.
Look at you
Put
go.
the Miculek grips on it, perfect. It gun balanced out really good. Feel that thing. You just it wants to run.
I have one somewhere. I was gonna buy one of the limited runs, and then he said, "Lena, I got you one," but I haven't seen it. I would like it.
I'm waiting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Does mine have this trigger on it?
Possibly.
I bet I can find someone.
So that was the last. That's the last of the progression of revolvers right there.
So you've had one of the longest running careers in the firearms industry. I would say that it's paved the way for all people that wanted to get into shooting, not only from the inspiration standpoint, but from the trying to make it a career standpoint. What do you feel like is, I don't know, what's like a takeaway from your journey? What's something that revolver shooting taught you that you kind of didn't think that it would, because your whole life has been molded by it?
It would have taught me.
Yeah.
I used to think winning trophies were cool, but it really ain't. It's the people you meet.
It's very true.
That's what it is, yeah.
Absolutely.
I didn't think that. Now I do, so.
I think until you chase it as hard as you can and get all of them, I don't think that you can realize it.
Yep, the people you meet, more important than all this. This is just stuff.
Oh.
So, anyway.
Oh, how sweet. I love it. Well, any last words outside of that? Because those are some pretty good last words.
Well, never fall in love with your own invention. And all this was, I never did a class.
You never took a class,
I never took a shooting class in my life. And I never did want to fall in love with my own invention. So if I'd go out and practice, I always thought somewhere there's something better. And I'm willing to change it in a heartbeat, because perception is not application.
Absolutely.
That's what you always have to remember. Perception of knowledge is probably the crippler of all things. So you go out there and you run at it hard, and then you step back and you go like, oh, I left some meat on the bone. Probably one thing about a trophy that I've come to realize is, I probably told you about the missing tile on the wall. You know, you look at it and it's a beautiful wall. When you have one little tile missing, you look right at it. So when I look at a trophy, first thing I think about was, okay, I won it, but I remember on stage 3.
It's the only memory. Someone asked me the other
isn't that
day
right?
about what some of my favorite stages were, so they could like build them into the club match. And I thought everything I could think of was all of the worst shooting experiences I've had. I can't remember a good stage. I can only remember the ones that I was on where I was like, will this end? I don't want to be here. This is the worst. I have dread in my belly, so I didn't give them anything good to talk about.
So when I look at a trophy, I never look at the trophy as an accomplishment. I always look at it as, man, I didn't do my best, you know. There's always some meat on the bone. So that's what's fun about racing. There's always meat on the bone, you know.
Yeah.
So
that sentiment that you have, that every day you can be better, is one of the most inspiring things about you, because I know and have met no one that has achieved as greatly as you have at anything, and has the humility that you have and curiosity. The fact that you can stay curious, 4 million rounds into just trying to pull a trigger as fast as you can, and you're still going out there being like, I still remember going and practicing with you. This is something that's affected my entire career, because we always used to practice together, and every time we get to share the range, there's always a takeaway. But one of the biggest takeaways is that every time you go to the range, everything I'm doing is wrong, and today I'm gonna find that better way. Now that's like a cool fuzzy sentiment. The application of it is a turd. To actually go out there after you've committed 10, 20 years to a craft and to be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Today I'll finally figure out how to hold my gun. But it's true. It's that not falling in love with your invention. It's that that curiosity for what could be is also what keeps it fresh and keeps it coming back.
That's the fun of racing.
Done?
That's always the fun of racing.
You can always go fast.
There's no set standard. There's always tomorrow, you know, so you can always do better, do something different.
Absolutely.
Let's make it faster.
Let's make it faster. Let's make ourselves better.
Yeah,
Let's do something to improve.
Yeah.
And that mindset, I got to watch him not only implement it into revolver shootings and into providing for our family and into all that, I got to watch him do it into the way in which he mows the grass. This man has cut those fields in every pattern and direction and thing to see if there's a better way that you can do it. A faster time. What's your time down to?
Well, I got
to the skeet field.
About 4.5 hours for the whole place.
Ooh, 4.5 hours for the whole place. That's actually come down like a lot. It used to be like 6 or 7.
I've got the patterns figured out now.
See? Curiosity. It keeps you young. It keeps you coming back for more, and it keeps you rising. So, thank you, Dad.
Pretty cool.
I love it. I love getting to chat with you, and most importantly, I love being able to share it with you guys. I learned some new things today, but I think he's just a gem, and he's my dad, but I want him to be your gun dad.
Thank y'all.
All right, here's something nifty. So revolvers, they're the absolute most fun thing in the entire world to dry fire, but it can be quite a wear and damaging on them, especially for the amount of dry fire that my dad and I aspire to do. Him, like, you know, a bazillion. So what do? Well, you just take a little cleaning patch here, you fold it up, and you place your little patch right in here. And what that does is make it to where... Dad, my patch is too big. Dad, I want to show him something nifty that's not working.
You're right. You're almost there.
Gosh, do I not have my patch rolling down?
You did.
It's
been a while.
Guys, I was trying to show you something nifty.
No.
Gosh, it's like you're a pro. Anyways, well, now we'll do it together. That's my something nifty. Because now it doesn't activate the firing pin.
Right.
So it doesn't damage it. You can dry fire as much as possible. And then just before you shoot, you take it out. Okay, so there's the patch and why you dry fire. But the real something nifty that I want to share with you is what my childhood sounded like. Because I don't know how many times I woke up to the sound of you dry firing this.
Me?
Yeah. So, I mean, imagine this. You're a kid traveling the whole U.S. the whole time, and this is pretty much what you were always woken up to. Ready?
Yep.
Doesn't it just comfort you? Doesn't that sound just bring you comfort?
How long should I go?
Yeah, reload.
Can I tell you an interesting story that happened to me one time?
Tell me, you left the patch in?
I did. Steel challenge. I was back in the hotel room dry firing.
I woke up to this.
Next morning, I'm at the range, load and make ready. First stage of the match, draw my gun, and this is what it sounded like. So I reloaded, put it back, and I go, Always remove the patch before shooting a match.
There you
Tip
go.
one.
You got it all right here. A full history,
and a red face. It was like, oh, you are.
I love it.
Okay.
But there you go. Now you know. Now you know what it sounded like growing up in the Miculek household.